Hey folks, we're here with Frank and we want to use this opportunity to ask a few questions and better understand what basically a professional contractor looks at when he sees a house. I think it adds a lot of value to understand how professional contractors evaluate houses. So let's start with a few questions to Frank and understand from his vast years of experience. So Frank, maybe just to start off, how many years are you rehabbing houses?
Since 1996.
Okay, and you're rehabbing like residential houses, like the one we're looking behind us?
Exactly.
Okay, that's great. So in terms of when you go into a typical bungalow house or a single family house like the one we see below, just can you describe to us your way of thinking? First of all, what are the main items that you look at as sure things that requires rehab, and the main ticket items that you try to really reveal when you see a house?
Well, before I even get to what it's going to cost for the house, is I'll look at the neighborhood and see what the neighborhood looks like, because you can buy a really bad house in a really bad neighborhood and not get your money back out of it. If you buy an ugly house in a good neighborhood, the odds of getting your investment back are excellent. So once I've determined that the neighborhood's worth investing in, then you look at the house, like this one here. It's got great curb appeal. You look at the curb appeal. Would a potential buyer say, that house is cute, I'd like to see more. So once I go in the house, then I start looking at what does a house really need. This particular house is probably more cosmetic than anything. The bathroom needs to be redone. As soon as we walked in, the first thing I noticed, there was some mold along the ceiling. Mold is an issue. We're going to have to remediate that. There was drywall that wasn't finished. That's an expense. We're going to have to redo the drywall. The vanity in the bathroom was missing, so we'll have to put a vanity in. And if you go to that level, we'll just take the floor up, put a new floor in, so you've got a fresh, completely new bathroom. In this case, the bathtub is only about 5 years old. There's no need to replace the tub, but everything else will get replaced except for the tub. Then when you walk through the rest of the house, then I start looking for electrical problems. Are there live wires hanging out of the wall? Is the wall surfaces damaged? How do the floors look? This is all cosmetics. But when you get down into the basement, that's where you look at the expensive things. How does the HVAC system work? In this house, the HVAC is older. We'll probably end up having to replace it. That's an expense. You have to account for that when you do the reno. The water heater will probably be replaced. That's another expense. But the foundation looks solid as a rock. There's no major cracking in the foundation walls or in the concrete floor. So while the basement is ugly, when you look at the actual basement itself, it's actually solid as a rock.
So I want to ask you, if we try to narrow it and focus, we're saying that obviously even before we go into the property and evaluate what needs to be inside, obviously we look at the location and the curb appeal. In terms of if we're trying to focus on the actual rehab plan, what are usually the big ticket items or the main things that you would look at? For example, roofs, concrete work, mechanicals. Can you walk out through the main things that you would look in the house, its bones, in terms of what would consist of the main, might consist of the main rehab costs in a rehab?
It's interesting you asked me that, Nir. The biggest thing that I look at is the roof. Because if the roof needs to be replaced, you're looking at a significant investment, probably $10,000 to $15,000. On a rehab, that almost makes the house not worth doing because of the expense. If the roof is sound, then I look at things like if there's hardwood flooring. Hardwood flooring, can it be refinished, or do I have to put laminate? When you're redoing all the floors with laminate, that can run several $1,000s on an average home. That's an expense. So there's just a lot of different things you have to look at, but the big ticket items for me are the roof is number one, and then the HVAC system is number two, and then electrical would be number three. Pretty much everything else is cosmetics.
Okay. Another thoughts or tips that you think are important for an investor to take into account when first evaluating a property that first is being seen?
Yes, a lot of the houses that we look at are older homes. You have to look out for asbestos, because there are homes that still have asbestos insulation. They may have asbestos based floor tiles. Asbestos can cost $10,000 to $15,000 to get rid of. It's something that as you're looking, you have to look beyond the basic structure and look at, things that are environmental hazards, such as the mold that's in the bathroom here. Those are things you have to be cognizant of while you're looking at the home.
Okay, sounds good. In terms of how you decide what to do, I mean, what is a must and what is the, let's say, nice to haves? So regarding the nice to haves, how do you think about whether it's worthwhile to do it or not?
Kitchens. If the woman is not happy with the kitchen, they're probably not going to buy the home. So I think in a kitchen you have to balance that high-end look versus the practicalities of how much do you have in the budget to spend. We're doing another house in a neighboring town that right now we're torn between whether to use laminate for the countertops or to use a solid surface, because a solid surface is $51 a square foot. I could do laminate for $25 a square foot, but I think the solid surface will give a higher end look that'll appeal to more buyers. So it's a consideration.
Great. So maybe to summarize here, you're saying we're doing some kind of a cost-effective analysis, trying to understand the impact of such items on the value and also on the marketability.
Sorry about that, folks. And sometimes you fall into a hole while you're walking out a driveway.
So you need to know how to manage risks and mitigate them as you go along.
Absolutely. The interesting thing is when you're working for investors, as a contractor, I have to balance the investor's reward along with what their investment is in the home. Because as an investor, I don't think anybody wants to spend, say, $25,000 on a rehab to lose money. The whole purpose of doing these rehabs is that the investor makes a good return on their money. Not 5%, not 10%, but a good return on their investment. This is a business. As long as everybody is making money, myself and the investors, then life is good.
Great. So thank you, Frank, for these tips. It's really appreciated. And we're looking forward to share more stuff from our next projects. Thanks for that.
You're welcome, Nir. It's been a pleasure.